Limousine service provided by Music Express, voted #1 by the National Limousine Association.
This is your story. As you know, each week, we give you the intimate inside story of some person's life. Now, that person might be anywhere in the audience tonight. This is your story, Al. Now, come on up here, Al. Yes, sir, come on up here, Al. The intimate story. He's a little overwhelmed, a little overwrought, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you'll just come this way, Al. Al, see, this is going to be the story of your life. We're going to tell the intimate inside story.
Now, I've seen the fuller version of that clip, and describe what happens in the rest of it, because it gets to be like 4 guys jump on him. Right?
Yeah, he doesn't want his life in front of people, so he runs up the Center Theater, 3,000-seat theater. He ran through the theater, 12 ushers. They finally carried him up on stage. Al Duncy, this is your life, and he sat there. And then the rest was the greatest satire in any show ever done, because it was such love. When Uncle Goopy came out and kissed him, we couldn't get, it was like a monkey attached to a guy. We couldn't get him off. 2.5 minutes of trying to tear 2 people apart, carrying them around, putting them down, clapping to a knee. No, it was one of the funniest.
Fabulous. I remember it vividly. I must have seen clips in it, and I saw, you know, that happened within the last couple of years with Connie Stevens, right?
I know.
Where the Connie, this is your life, and Connie like bolted out the stage. Did you know this, John?
No, I didn't.
Wasn't it Betty Davis too, or somebody? Like
I know Connie because Connie was here. We actually didn't talk about that, but she knew that she'd get into the mascara would start running and everything, and Connie didn't want to. I mean, would you want a surprise? This is your life. John, I sold you the chainsaw. Like, oh, great, thanks. This is great. You know, what else you got? Yeah, here's a photograph of the trees before, you know, she cut them down. Here's the table. Oh, this is great. Then we're going to go to a break now while John punches everybody out, you know. Now, Carl, you said you never really punched it. You said you punched a plate glass window.
Once, yes.
No, why did you do that?
I was angry.
Did you know there was a window there?
No,
you thought you were punching a curtain.
A curtain. I thouut I was punching a curtain. It was a small glass. I wasn't.
Now, what provoked that kind of anger? You would punch a curtain.
It was a non-argument my wife and I were having. I say it's a non-argument because nothing to argue about. She was arguing with me, and I got mad. And that was the most violent I've ever been.
So you thought you were punching a curtain, and you forgot there was a window.
Yeah,
back
I was
there.
in my own bedroom. I should have known. And behind the curtain
was
a
right?
glass.
And your fist went through the window.
You just broke the glass, and I got a little piece in my finger. And God kept it there for months and months and months.
While you directed a movie with your hand in a glass. Now, if you have glass in your finger, because I like this show to be informational as well. If you have glass in your finger.
Yeah, a little piece of glass it went right through the nail, a little tiny piece, and it wouldn't leave. And it stayed red, and I was directing Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, walking around with my finger in a hot cup of water for about 3 weeks until I got to a doctor. I couldn't get time to go to a doctor. And he cauterized it, took it out in a second. I didn't have time. I said, it'll come out by itself, you know. Nature heals. Nature doesn't heal sometimes.
It didn't heal.
Just like those trees didn't grow back.
Oh, well, you know, I mean, looking back on those trees and that whole thing, I mean, you're probably sorry you did it, but hey, you know, I could understand it.
I'd rather have done it than have left the feeling that I had stuck inside me.
I actually agree with
Let's look at it this way.
Yeah.
He cut down inanimate things. He didn't go like the Chainsaw Massacre and go through the street chaining people down. He cut a piece of inanimate wood.
Yeah, I agree with them too. Of course, you want women say, "What are you talking about?"
And when you're cutting down a tree, they say it's live, and trees and plants scream when you cut them down. You cut a piece of wood, you don't hear a sound. You cut a table, you don't hear a sound.
So basically, what we're saying here today is, if you're really upset, you know, about something, cut a table in half. Get it out of your system.
Kill dead things. Don't kill live things.
That's right. Kill tables. I don't want to come away from that because you talk about Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid and your hand in the glass with the thing. And you've worked with Steve Martin so much. And I had an experience with Steve Martin when we did this Lonely Guy movie together. And I was very struck by Steve Martin because, you know, here's a guy, the biggest comedy star at the time, and now certainly too. And, you know, anything I would do, he would be, you know, oh, that's great, do that. And other people say it too. But I kind of in the same category, so supportive, so generous.
You should be very honored because Steve does not lie. He doesn't say, do that to anybody. Sometimes he goes, what are they doing? You were doing funny things. He appreciates other comedians. It's all comedians do. They appreciate when other comedians are doing something they never thought of, or they're doing something they might have thought of, and it's absolutely right.
You know, it's funny. I met him once briefly, and I was coming out to Los Angeles once, and I called him and I said, I want to talk to you about something, and I knew he had asked me if I would write something for him, and so I knew there was. So anyway, we went out to dinner. I came to his house, and he has one of these. I don't know if he still has that place in Beverly Hills.
Sold it.
Where you open the door. You guys are probably familiar with this. I don't know if they have this in the West, where the door opens, you can walk in either in the door or behind the door.
His is the only house that has
What is that? Describe that door.
The door, you see, doors are on hinges over here. He had the door hinged here, so when you opened the door, there was a space between the door, the hinge
And
so there was a little
frame.
space where he could slip through. You would walk into the house, and he'd be outside, and so you
could walk into the house instead of walking where you'd walk in through the frame and the hinge.
Yeah.
You know,
We would sneak out within 2 inches.
You know, and I walked, and we went out to dinner that night, and whatever, we spent an evening and went out to dinner, and I was staying at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, which I think changed its name to the Beverly Padrino El Padrino Wilshire, the Regency Wilshire El Padrino.
Yeah.
You know, you got to make these deals, different credits have to be. But anyway, he called me the next morning. He says, I just want you to know that about last night. I said, yeah. He says, I was never bored for 1 second. And I thought, isn't that interesting? This is something he probably battles in life. He's going to be bored.
Yeah, he does. He does.
He's going to be bored. Like, if you don't have, if your last line, like he does, is okay, but if, God help you, if your next sentence isn't interesting, I'm bored. I mean, the guy is rough.
It's very interesting about him because Steve is one of the most inventive men, but he doesn't have. If he doesn't have a minute filled, like if we're going to lunch...
wait a minute, we got 7 seconds. We're going to go to a break. John Denver's going to sing, and then Carl's going to finish that story. We'll be back with John Denver
No, I'm going to talk about Continue Laughing.
This is CNBC. One import car company advanced airbag design, helped make safety belts safer, even added protective padding under the dash. And, not surprisingly, their car just received the highest ratings in the latest government crash tests. Now here's the big surprise. The company that did all this is Audi. The car is the A6, the finest in German safety engineering. See your Audi dealer today.
Snack cracker?
I'd rather eat dust.
They're Munchums, New Southwestern style.
How cute.
Flavors as big and bold as Texas. There's salsa flavor and chili cheese flavor.
How'd they get such a big, bold taste?
Elves.
Elves?
That's the new cook.
Howdy, partners.
Great hat, huh?
I've been on the range too long.
Keebler Snack Crackers, uncommonly good.
Here's an uplifting thought for the weary traveler. Come home to Sealy's most advanced Posturepedic ever for the back support you need. Now, the only foundation made from steel beams, not wood, is redesigned to be even stronger. Now, Sealy has a more sensitive sense and respond coil system, and its patented sensory arm senses and cushions your movement, then responds to your weight with increasing support, correct support, making Sealy America's favorite destination. Posturepedic support, only from Sealy.
A powerful new TV network is captivating America. There's no script, no actors. The lighting and sound can be downright lousy. But the human issues and emotions are more vital and riveting than most Hollywood movies. Court TV. Real trials. Real people. Different television.
Hello, I'm Frank Griffin, and I've been serving North Florida for 38 years. You find the very best pricing, service, and respect at our dealerships. We offer outstanding selections of wonderful new and used cars and trucks. Here's an example.
Like the all-new Chrysler Sebring or the award-winning Chrysler Cirrus, both with V6 power, dual airbags, and analog brakes for a low price of $16,999.
The dealer you know and trust in your community, Frank Griffin, Jeep Eagle Chrysler, Plymouth and Jacksonville.
Sometimes we tape shows. If you'd like to call in and ask our guests questions, let us know. Write us at Charles Grodin, CNBC, 2200 Fletcher Avenue, Fort Lee, New Jersey, 07024. Call us at 201-346-6531 or fax us at 201-346-6565.
Here is John Denver to sing the Aspen Chainsaw Massacres.
Oh, at first it was like heaven in your heart and in your arms, and paradise discovered in the sweetness of your charms. Yes, and every day a miracle to awake and be with you, and every night in your embrace another dream come true. But castles sometimes crumble, some rivers still run dry, and fairy tales are witches' tales when the truth becomes a lie. And a pocket full of promises won't buy a diamond ring, and every word you said to me just didn't mean a thing. It's over now, you've gone too far, I can't take any more. Be careful now, don't hurt yourself when you walk through the door. I can hardly stand to look at you, it makes me wanna cry. Get your tongue out of my mouth, because I'm kissing you goodbye. Bye, bye, goodbye. Get your tongue out of my mouth, because I'm kissing you goodbye.
I went at it. Now, John, that's not one of your greatest hits, is it?
Not yet, not.
It's in here. It's in here.
Right here. If you'd like to make a call, hang up and try again.
Well, why don't you just talk right here?
They'd absolutely know nothing about these special effects. If I was to talk right there, obviously you could hear it. And it wouldn't sound like it's coming from a telephone. That's why I'm talking like... Breathe a little bit. Maybe that would help. Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, leave me alone. Get out of my way, Catherine. God, you were asked to go upstairs and do your...
She did it.
Well, that was a perfect song for you. Get your tongue out of my mouth because I'm kissing you goodbye.
I never associated it with the Aspen Chainsaw Massacre, but forevermore.
But it has something to do. Now, you have a new CD, right?
I have a new CD, and
it's
Carl
called,
has a new
what's the
book.
new CD called?
Very sweet.
The Wildlife Concert.
The Wildlife Concert. And anything by John Denver, you know, come on.
Yes.
And Carl, your book is, and now what's interesting about your semi-autobiographical sequel to Enter Laughing, which is Continue Laughing, right?
Yes.
Is that you wrote it, what, 35 years after the first one?
Well, yes. Enter Laughing was written in '58, and then I worked for profit. I wrote
profit,
movies.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, books are not for profit. Books you have to write because you have to write them. And then I wrote my dirty novel last year, my sexy novel called All Kinds of Love. I wanted to get back to just me and a typewriter and one person reading. And then I said, I wonder what happened to David Kukolowicz, the young actor who left us in 1958. I wonder what's happened to him. And I said, hey, maybe the same thing that happened to me. So I take David Kukolowicz, who becomes Don Coleman. I take him through the war years, 1942, Shakespearean Touring Company through the war years, and Iwo Jima, playing as a performer in Iwo Jima. I became a comedian in the Army. I was an actor before I got in the Army. And there was no stages to work on.
You had to be. Otherwise, you'd have been killed by the carbines.
Well,
you had to become a comedian. That's when he became a comedian.
Exactly.
And you must have been a comedian. You didn't become a comedian in the latrine that day.
No, there was rec halls, and I got up with a microphone and started doing a little of Zero Mostel's act, a little of my friend Jack Gilford, not really, and put together an act for myself, and then started writing for myself.
Do you remember when we first met?
I remember only coming backstage and lauding you in same time next year. Did we meet before that?
Do you know that I auditioned for Enter Laughing? Do you remember that?
No.
Well, this was a kind of a, I came in, Alan Arkin and I were friends hanging around. Alan played the lead in Carl's play, Enter Laughing. And
Joe Stein, he adapted the book.
He adapted the book, Joe Stein wrote. Isn't that what I said? Yeah, who actually wrote the libretto for Fiddler on the Roof, right?
The same year.
The same year. So Joe kept busy that year. And I went over. I heard you were looking for a comedian, and I read the script, and I said, "You really want an actor?" And I went over, and I was in a Broadway show at the time, and I said, "I'm really not available to this, but if I really feel this is the way you should do it." And then I proceeded to give my audition, and everybody hated my guts because basically to come over and say, "I'm not available, but I think you should do it like this," which is what I did. And the producer, Morty Gottlieb, who produced same time next year, he says, "You know, we just hate his guts. He's probably going to be a star."
You know why I didn't react to it? Because I was in California doing the Dick Van Dyke show, and I wasn't there, but I'd heard about a guy who told us how to do it.
That was me. I said, this is the way to do it. I'm personally not available because I was working with Anthony Quinn and Margaret Leighton in a play, but anyway, tomorrow's guests will be Wayne Newton, Jack Wagner, who's kind of like a macho, sexy, you know, General Hospital kind of, what is he, a Melrose Place type of guy, and the singer Laurie Beachman, and stay tuned for Real Personal with Bob Berkowitz. What's Bob, let me see, what else you got there at the bottom of that thing? Wait a second, before I talk about Bob Berkowitz, Alice Hurwitz, one of our producers, is engaged. She's a doll. She's the lady that's giving me trouble on, you know, that she thinks that I expect perfection, and she's now engaged. I think, you know, because she's appeared on the show a couple times, the guy said, "All right, you're a television celebrity. Let's get married." Also, our director, Jay Kincaid, just had his first child, a 9-pound baby girl, which is like 9-pound plus. And congratulations to Jay and to Alice, and thank you to John Denver and to Carl Reiner, and thank you, everybody, for watching. Good night, everybody.
Catherine, would you say that everything's been, the weather's been good, bad, a little bit of raining? What would you say?
A little bit rainy.
It was raining. What else did you do today? Tell everybody you on TV.
I watched television. I went swimming. I took a walk with my mom, and she read me 3 books.
She read you 3 books. That's amazing. Well, what else? What do you have planned for tomorrow?
Going around the block with my mom, running with my brother, swimming, and just having a good time. See ya.
Okay, well that's...
See you later, Jose.
See you later, alligator. Well, we'll tell you what, we'll see you later. And this is Tony Catney and Catherine Catney saying...
Goodbye, howdy doody. Have a good day.
Whoa, yeah. Uh-oh, feedback is not good.
Use it tonight. Omaha Beach Club, 1st Street, 1st Avenue, Jacksonville Beach, and now at 8